Time for some sports news. A little bit of an update. Nigeria's Super Eagles will, in less than about 2 hours, be taking on the host country, Ivory Coast, in their second group game at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations competition. Now, the Eagles had drawn their first match, a 1-1 stalemate with Guinea-Bissau. And from the look of things, the results of this evening's encounter may ultimately decide whether or not the team advances to the knockout stage. Well, you know, Arise correspondents Aaron Akerajola and A.B. Iyomon are there in Ivory Coast to give us the update, play-to-play, that is happening all through AFCON in Abidjan. So glad to have you both join us today. Compliments from Lagos all the way to Abidjan.
All right, we're at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium, and AB, I'm sure you're quite excited about the prospect of witnessing the game, Ivory Coast against the Super Eagles, the Elephants against the Eagles. Let's see how it plays out. But before then, there is a game actually going on right now. It's the Battle of the Guineas. Equatorial Guinea is taking on Guinea-Bissau, and at the moment it is one apiece between both teams. Talk to me. The implication of this game. At the moment, Guinea-Bissau were able to pull one back after falling behind in this particular encounter. Talk to me the implications of this game, and more importantly, how it would affect the mood and also the table going into Nigerians' game later on this evening.
Yeah, Aaron, the game between the Guineas is actually the game that could almost ultimately determine Nigeria or Ivory Coast position on the table as well, because Guinea-Bissau are without a point. Equatorial Guinea are with a point. At this point, I know Nigerians will be happy with this particular
yes, I am.
Because a 1-0 draw means that Equatorial Guinea just have 2 points and Guinea with 1 point. If or should Equatorial Guinea win this game, it means they top the table before Nigeria or Ivory Coast game. And if Guinea-Bissau wins this game, it means they have 3 points and Nigeria just has 1. So I think at this point, Nigeria should just keep their fingers crossed. Ivory Coast should just keep their fingers crossed as well. But Aaron, the game to determine everything, Nigeria versus Ivory Coast, you know that the government has called today as a public holiday to ensure that this very stadium is filled with fans to the brim. And I know the pressure will be on the Super Eagles, definitely. Yeah,
they will be feeling the pressure, but they are accustomed to pressure because when you play high-stake games, when it comes to football, pressure is the name of the game, as I say. And the Super Eagles, some are saying that can they rise up to be counted at this stage of their careers, at this stage of the competition? Because usually, like you said in the morning, this is almost reminiscent of a final. And if you'd ask me, I want to see flair from the Super Eagles. I want to see passion from the Super Eagles. More importantly, I want to see determination from the Super Eagles.
Even that flair is what a lot of Nigerians doubt the Super Eagles have. Yes, after the game, they had a long meeting, but since then, I don't know if we have really seen any difference. But the hope is that Nigeria goes in there, like I said in the morning, knowing that they have no option, no choice but to get a victory, a much-needed victory. Yes, the Ivorians also had their own injuries, but the home factor, Aaron, like we already know, the sun is high. Luckily, it's not as hot as it was last night, but we know that the home advantage, the weather could play a factor, a big, huge factor. But the Super Eagles, if they come in with dexterity, knowing that there's no big name, they don't care about the host, they don't care about the supporters or the lack of...
Or the stadium.
Exactly. I think the Super Eagles have what it takes. I was speaking with an Ivorian fan, and he said that off camera, or he said on paper, Nigeria has the best strikers or the best forwards at the AFCON. Because really, look at Nigeria, the lineup. You have an Osimhen, who is the African Best Player of the Year. You have Moses Simon, who keeps giving assists in Nantes. You also have
Ademola
Lookman in Atlanta. You have Iwobi and all of them.
Samuel Chukwueze.
Iheanacho, forwards and all of that. So I don't see why Nigeria cannot get a victory.
All right. What do you make about that very curious case of the president of the Nigerian Football Federation literally lashing out at the players after the draw against Equatorial Guinea? Some will say it's the needed kick they needed. I mean, it's the needed kick the Super Eagles needed to get themselves into this tournament. Maybe they are physically here, but mentally they are somewhere else.
Aaron, totally, it's a wake-up call. It is a wake-up call. There's a lot of clash of egos in the Super Eagles camp. We know they have, well, a fair number of big names there, a lot of Josu and all of that, but they have to come back and know that this is Nigeria. Forget about your clubs. Your club is playing the Conference League. Your club is playing in Champions League or the Europa League. You have to focus for the next 26 days on Nigeria. That's if they get that far. But I don't see why Nigeria cannot get that far. Aaron, when was the last time we saw Nigeria playing 7 games of the African Cup of Nations? Why can't Nigeria do that? In 2019, they got all that far. Why can't they? It seems like Nigeria's already had their calculators out, calculating, should this team beat this team? Should this team beat the other team? I don't think at this point, with the names Nigeria has, they should be going through at this point.
All right, Jimmy Tokpe, I must say that it is halftime here at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium for the very first game, Equatorial Guinea against Guinea-Bissau. And we're happy as Nigerians. At the moment, it is still one apiece between both teams. And that would mean that Equatorial Guinea from Group A have just 2 points. Guinea-Bissau have been able to pick up a point in this particular group. And that puts Nigeria in a very strong stead to probably go for a win. Later on this evening, AB predictions as we actually try to wrap up this particular broadcast.
Aaron, for me, I would love to be a patriotic Nigeria, to say Nigeria will outrightly go out and defeat Ivory Coast, but it's going to be a tough one. At best, I predict a 1-0 draw.
Okay, I'm more optimistic than you are because I'm seeing a 2-1 draw. I mean, 2-1 win, a 3-1 win at most in this particular encounter, because I'm kind of feeling that the place we find ourselves as a nation, especially with the tragedies that has been happening back at home, we are hoping that the Super Eagles will be able to probably give some Nigerians something to smile about, something to jubilate about, a little bit of a succor for all the multitude and the myriads of tragedy that is happening back at home. They need to rise up for the nation.
That is the hope. We hope that they can actually rise up for the nation. But I also hope that they can give it all on the pitch, because in the last 2-3 years, we have not seen the Nigerian national team play spectacular football. It's just hit and miss, guesses.
No, we had Sao Tome and Principe.
Sao Tome, Aaron, anybody can give Sao Tome.
Okay, so how Timmy Tokpe, we should get a result today. Be it a draw or a win, we should get a result today.
Well, Aaron and Ebi, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. And of course, we wish the Super Eagles all the best.